Hi, boys and girls. Today's story is Curious George, Farm to Table. Curious about where food comes from? Well, let's find out. Curious George, Farm to Table. George was helping his friend Marco make his famous tortilla for his abuela's birthday dinner. George reached for a bag on the windowsill, but it accidentally fell to the ground. "Don't worry, George," said Marco. "That's the masa for cornmeal. We use it to make tortillas. I'm sure we have more." Oh no. Marco looked in the cupboard. "Uh-oh, I thought we had more," he said. George had an idea. He knew exactly where they could find some more of the masa Marco needed. They walked to the local grocery store and asked the store clerk, "Masa? Oh, I'm sorry. I just sold the last bag, but I promised my grandmother I would make some tortilla for her birthday," said Marco. "Beep, beep. You're in luck. The delivery man is here," said the store clerk. "My uncle Enrico," Marco exclaimed. "Let's ask him for more masa." Do you know what masa is? "Uncle Enrico, today is Abuela's birthday. I want to make her tortillas, but I don't have any masa," said Marco. "No masa? I don't have any on my truck, but I know where we can get some," said Uncle Enrico. "My job is to deliver food from the warehouse to the grocery store," Uncle Enrico explained. "Let's drive to the warehouse to get more masa." Unfortunately, the warehouse manager said they did not have any masa. "I'm waiting for a shipment." "But hold on." She took them to a different part of the warehouse. "You might find one bag up there," she pointed to the top shelf. Oh no. What do you think's gonna happen? Luckily, George was an expert at climbing. When he reached the top, he said he saw the masa. George had saved the day. With the bag tucked under his arm, George started to climb down the shelf. "Wait, George, toss the masa to me," shouted Uncle Enrico. "I'll catch it." George tossed the bag. What do you think's going to happen? Just then, the warehouse manager yelled, "Watch out!" to another employee. Distracted Uncle Enrico. Uncle Enrico looked away, and the bag fell to the ground and burst open. As they left the warehouse, Uncle Enrico said, "I'm sorry, Marco. Abuela won't have tortillas for her birthday. It was all my fault." They climbed back into the delivery truck. George looked at the back of the empty bag. He pointed to the picture. "George, you're right. That's the mill where they make the masa. There's even an address, and it's not too far away," said Uncle Enrico. They decided to drive to the mill. Inside the mill, a worker showed them how the masa is made. Grain like corn and wheat come to the mill and are cleaned and inspected. Then the grains are put into a grinder and come out as cornmeal or flour. Next, it is sifted to remove the parts we don't need. Finally, the cornmeal or flour is bagged and shipped to the warehouse. That's how the masa is made. Could we please have one bag of masa? Asked Uncle Enrique. I'm sorry. The corn comes from local farmers, but there wasn't enough rain this year, and the drought delayed the corn harvest. No corn, no masa. So sad. George knew a local farmer who grew corn. He even stored rainwater for his crops. George pointed the way to the Rakine's farm. Thanks to my water tank, we stored enough water to get through the season. I harvested corn all day today, said Farmer Reckons. Farmer Reckons was happy to help. He gave them fresh and dried corn. They took the dried corn to the mill where it was ground into masa, put into bags, while Uncle Enrique took the bags to the warehouse to be packaged for the grocery store. George and Marco took one bag home to make tortillas. George now understood that food in the stores came from farmers like his friend Mr. Reckons. At last, Marco was able to make his famous tortilla for his Abula's birthday dinner. The whole family loved them. George did too. And here it shows you what you can do. You can take an egg carton and put some dirt in there. And in each little cup, you can make a plant with a seed of vegetable or whatever you want to grow. And then you have to make sure you remember to water it. Foods from nature. We have broccoli. Raise your hand if you'd like broccoli. We have bananas. We have apples. We have bread, chicken, cheese, carrots, milk. What is your favorite? Which ones are fruits and which ones are grains? Let's see if you can tell your mom and dad. I hope you enjoyed this book. Curious George, farm to market, farm to table, silly me.